And I'm not sure if you've been in this situation where you get an email and you think, oh, it's my bank. They just want some information. And this thing pops up and it looks like your bank. But then if you click on that little box or if you provide the information, then money disappears from your bank account. Online scams are getting cleverer, or I don't know, perhaps we're getting stupider or more gullible in that regard. Somebody who can talk us through the obvious pitfalls in the way to protect ourselves and our money. Dan Mazengarb from Christian Savings joins us now. Dan, kia ora, good morning. Thanks for your time today.
Morena, good to see you, Andrew.
Nice to have you on the program. Let's start with confessions. Good for the soul. Dan, have you ever fallen for an online scam or got close to clicking on that button?
Well, Andrew, did you know that there's a website
Yeah.
that you can go on and you can enter your email address and you can see if your details have been fished out of a system through an online scam?
Wow. I'm not sure I want to know how stupid and gullible I am, Dan.
Yeah, it's a bit of a revealing or a scary process, and fortunately, I came out pretty good on that.
Yeah,
but no, look, we take a lot of. I've got a lot of practice in this, and thankfully, to my knowledge, I have not gone for a scam.
Yeah, well, hey, it's good that you can say that, and sorry to start with the awkward question. They are getting. That question I started with, are they getting trickier or are we getting more gullible and just spending more of our life online and, oh, yeah, we just click on the thing so we get the thing that we want? They are getting cleverer, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, it was the guy in the UK who's come across a trust deed with your name in it, and you've got this inheritance, and if you just wire him $5,000, £1 million will be coming your way.
Sometimes involves Nigeria, but not necessarily.
Yeah, off 50% of the time, there's something to do with Nigeria in there.
Yeah.
So everyone pretty quickly got around that one. I'm really impressed at the cleverness of some of the recent ones, especially the NZTA. You have a fine that you haven't paid, and it comes through a text. So it's not just emails anymore; it's on your phone or the courier company, especially around Christmas when you're expecting a package. You're doing all your online shopping. It would be quite foreseeable that the courier company would send you a text saying that there's a package or an email. And so they are definitely getting cleverer. And I think the other thing is some of the key telltale signs of scams, things like bad spelling, having your name spelt wrongly or bad grammar, they are getting a bit better at that. So it is getting a little bit harder to detect what emails are or are not scams.
Certainly AI doesn't help, and often we are dealing with bots here where they'll just, and particularly in terms of phishing, they're just sending out a large amount of hooks. They're drift netting the ocean of the stupid to see how many fish that they catch, and actually AI is making this much harder to detect. But what can we do? Firstly, let's do this as individuals, and then we'll get to businesses in a moment. But what can we do as individuals to perhaps decrease the likelihood that we're going to get scammed?
Yeah, look, I think the best thing we can do, I think there's two things that firstly come to mind. One is getting good at knowing, sniffing out, having a good sniffer when you read emails or texts. And so there are some really common things you can look out for. One is a sense of urgency.
Yep.
So, please do this now. If you don't do this, there'll be a fine, that sort of thing. So there's often a sense of urgency. There's often, almost always there's a link to click on or a request for your password or details to be entered. So that's a real obvious sign. If they're not asking those two things, they're either a really bad scammer or it could be legit. And then the third one is often bad spelling, or it might be from something at Microsoft, but Microsoft might be spelt wrong, so they're trying to impersonate that. So getting really good at just sniffing out those common features of a scam. The other one is more just around protecting others. we know that older people who have been online less and maybe grew up in an age where this was not even a thing. Just protecting them and informing them of the dangers, because older people now are getting email accounts, etc., and so they are more liable to being defrauded.
I think one of the things that's and hey, maybe I've just got lucky in this regard, is recognizing that the emails from a company that I've never done business with.
Yes.
Yeah, if it's from if it's saying I've got a parking ticket, then probably it's real. But if it's from an American mail order company that I've never heard of before, I don't have a parcel waiting for me. And that's, I suppose, the low-hanging fruit in that regard. When it comes to businesses, Dan, though, is there, I suppose, an obligation, a statutory obligation even, to do what they can to protect their customers from scams?
Yeah, well, look, the Reserve Bank, interestingly, have introduced mandatory reporting requirements for those who are licensed, like Christian Savings, for example, to report material breaches or cyber events, etc., and to undergo some periodic reporting too. So, look, there is probably more coming there, but I think it just makes good business sense to have a really strong cyber strategy, really. And it was interesting. Someone from KPMG was interviewing a bunch of CEOs from banks and finance companies, and one of them said, "Look, I could never spend enough money on cyber and IT security to make me feel better at night."
Wow.
You can just sink millions into that, and I think the reason is you can have sophisticated firewalls and systems, but it does often come down to human error. And so, it's all about training your staff. So I think there's two things there. Obviously, the firewalls and things, and our firewall caught one the other day, which was really great. But our team, we have every quarter we have someone from our IT company coming in, chatting about cyber and IT risk, and we have. Then this is great, Andrew. We have pretend phishing tests where the security company will send you fake spam emails, and they test our staff to see if we're picking this up. And so when it comes in, we push a certain button and it says, "Congratulations, you've passed the test. You didn't click on a Nigerian sort of mail scam. Well done." And so there are a bunch of things that businesses can do like that to protect themselves and their staff.
For people that have been in this situation, and hey, it wasn't a scam, but I accidentally clicked on something I was doing online, and I ended up accidentally subscribing to something, and it cost me money, and I felt stupid. Fortunately, emailing the company, they were very understanding and gave me my money back, even though they didn't have to. But if we're in that situation where we know we've been scammed, what can we do? Is there an obligation from financial institutions, from banks, if we've been scammed, to give us our money back, to close our accounts, to put a lock on our cards? What should be the first step that we take when we know that we've lost money?
Yeah, well, look, obviously the first step is to tell your creditor or bank or whoever the company is that's in charge of that account, because and your IT company, of course, because the sooner that they know about it, the sooner they can fix it. You do see a lot more scrutiny on banks to be watching over accounts and making sure that things aren't coming out of your account that seem abnormal or look like scams. So you do see more scrutiny for banks on that because they operate transactional accounts. So I think there is a bit more of an expectation. Obviously, banks and institutions like Christian Savings are insured with their cyber insurer. So, we do carry insurance for that sort of thing. So there are means of doing that. I think the more important one, though, is actually not financial, but information. So some of these scammers aren't actually wanting your money. They're wanting data. They're wanting personal information.
They want your soul, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there is a duty to report to the Privacy Commissioner, for example, if a bunch of the personal information, private information you hold gets hacked and released to, sort of the deep dark web where they can sell it and turn that into some sort of money-making scam.
Yeah. No, hey, very good advice as always. And hey, I know that you guys at Christian Savings particularly vigilant when it comes to not only other people's money, but also their data and keeping it safe. But hey, thank you for sharing your wisdom on this topic. Dan, if people want to find out more about your organisation, what it does, what's the best way of doing that?
Go to christiansavings.co.nz, have a good cruise around our website, click on all the links on our website because they're all safe, and give us a call, send us an email if you want to find out more.
Yeah, no, Dan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.